Have you ever wondered why your grandparents seemed to waste almost nothing, yet somehow always had what they needed? They repaired things instead of replacing them, saved small amounts that added up over time, and knew dozens of simple tricks that helped them spend less every single year. Today, many of these habits have almost disappeared. We live in a world where it is easier to throw something away and buy a new one. But the truth is that some of the old-fashioned habits our grandparents followed can still save a surprising amount of money today. These weren't complicated financial strategies. They were simple everyday choices that reduced waste, stretched resources, and helped families keep more money in their pockets. Let's look at the smart things grandparents did that could still help you save hundreds of dollars every year. The first habit was simple. They repaired things before replacing them. Years ago, when a chair broke, a sweater tore, or a kitchen tool stopped working, people didn't immediately throw it away. They looked for a way to fix it. A loose chair leg could be repaired. A jacket could be patched. A broken handle could often be replaced. A small appliance could sometimes be repaired instead of becoming another piece of trash. Today, buying something new often feels easier because products are cheaper and more available. But those small purchases add up quickly. Replacing a few household items every month can quietly cost hundreds of dollars over a year. Grandparents understood something important. The value of an item is not only the price you paid for it. It is also the time, materials, and energy that went into making it. Before throwing something away, they asked one question. Can this be repaired? That one question saved many families a lot of money. Another habit was using leftovers creatively. Many people today throw away food simply because it is no longer exactly what they planned to eat. But grandparents were experts at turning yesterday's food into tomorrow's meal. A small amount of leftover vegetables could become soup. Extra meat could become a sandwich filling or a casserole. Stale bread could become croutons, breadcrumbs, or a breakfast dish. They understood that food waste was actually money being thrown into the garbage. Even wasting a few dollars of food each week can become a significant amount over a year. Imagine throwing away $5 worth of food every week. In 1 month, that is around $20. In a year, it can become more than $200. A little planning and creativity can prevent that loss. Grandparents also knew the importance of buying basic ingredients instead of relying on expensive convenience foods. Instead of purchasing ready-made meals, they often cooked simple dishes from affordable ingredients. Beans, rice, potatoes, seasonal vegetables, grains, eggs, and homemade bread were common parts of many households. These foods were inexpensive, filling, and could be transformed into many different meals. Cooking from scratch does not mean spending hours in the kitchen every day. Many traditional meals were designed to be practical, affordable, and easy to prepare. Another money-saving habit was growing some of their own food. Even a small garden could make a difference. Grandparents often grew herbs, tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, berries, or other vegetables. They understood that a small seed could become something valuable. Today, gardening is becoming popular again because people are realizing how much money can be saved by growing even a small amount of fresh produce. A few pots of herbs on a balcony or a small garden area can reduce grocery expenses while providing fresh ingredients. Grandparents also saved seeds from plants instead of buying new ones every year. After harvesting vegetables or flowers, they collected seeds for the next season. This simple habit reduced costs and allowed them to continue growing plants without constantly purchasing supplies. Another forgotten skill was preserving food. Before modern supermarkets made fresh products available all year, families had to find ways to store food for later. They canned fruits and vegetables, dried herbs, froze seasonal foods, and made jams. These methods helped them enjoy affordable food even when certain products were expensive or unavailable. Preserving food is still useful today. When fruits and vegetables are in season and prices are lower, buying extra and storing them properly can help reduce grocery bills throughout the year. Grandparents also paid close attention to energy use. They didn't waste electricity because they knew every unnecessary expense mattered. They turned off lights when leaving a room, used natural sunlight whenever possible, and avoided heating or cooling empty spaces. These habits may seem small, but small savings repeated every day can become noticeable. A light left on for hours, appliances running unnecessarily, and poor energy habits can quietly increase monthly bills. Grandparents didn't need complicated technology to save energy. They simply developed awareness. They knew that saving money was often about paying attention to small details. One of the most valuable habits they had was making things last longer. Clothes were washed carefully. Shoes were cleaned and maintained. Furniture was protected and repaired. Instead of constantly replacing items, they took care of what they already owned. A pair of shoes that lasts an extra year means one less purchase. A coat that stays in good condition for several seasons means more money saved. Taking care of possessions was not only practical, it was a mindset. Grandparents understood that every item had value. And many of their money-saving habits were not about being cheap. They were about being smart. They spent money when it was necessary, but they avoided wasting it when a simple solution existed. Another habit that helped grandparents save money was planning purchases carefully. They rarely bought things just because they were on sale or because they looked interesting. In the moment, they thought about whether they truly needed something before spending their money. Today, many people make small impulse purchases without realizing how much those purchases add up. A coffee here, a snack there, an item bought simply because it is discounted. Each purchase may seem harmless, but over months and years, these small expenses can become a large amount of money. Grandparents often followed a simple rule: buy less, but choose wisely. They preferred items that were durable and useful rather than things that would quickly break or become unnecessary. They also learned the difference between a good deal and a tempting deal. A low price does not always mean saving money. If something is cheap but rarely used, it may still be wasted money. A purchase that lasts for years is often a better investment than something inexpensive that needs to be replaced again and again. Another thing grandparents did was make shopping lists and stick to them. Before going to the store, many families planned their meals and wrote down what they needed. This helped them avoid buying unnecessary products and reduced food waste. Walking into a store without a plan can make it easy to buy things that were never needed in the first place. Stores are designed to encourage extra purchases. Products placed near checkout counters, special displays, and limited-time offers can make people spend more than they intended. Grandparents understood the importance of having a plan. A simple shopping list protected their budget. They also often cooked larger portions and planned meals ahead. Instead of preparing a completely different meal every day, they used ingredients efficiently. A large pot of soup, stew, or another homemade dish could provide several meals. This saved both money and time. Meal planning also helped them use everything they bought. When people do not plan meals, they often discover forgotten food in the refrigerator that has spoiled. Every piece of wasted food represents money that could have been saved. Grandparents were also skilled at using simple ingredients in many different ways. They did not need dozens of expensive products to create satisfying meals. A few basic ingredients could become many different dishes. For example, potatoes could be baked, mashed, added to soups, or turned into other meals. Eggs could be used for breakfast, baking, or quick dinners. Seasonal vegetables could become salads, soups, side dishes, or preserved foods. This flexibility helped families spend less while still enjoying variety. Another important habit was avoiding unnecessary subscriptions and recurring expenses. Grandparents lived in a time when monthly payments were less common, so they were naturally careful about paying for things they did not use. Today, many people have multiple subscriptions they barely remember signing up for. A streaming service, an app, a membership, or a delivery service may only cost a few dollars per month. But several small payments combined can become hundreds of dollars every year. Grandparents would often ask, "Am I really using this enough to justify the cost?" That question is still powerful today. Another old-fashioned money-saving habit was using homemade solutions instead of always buying specialized products. Many household tasks could be handled with simple ingredients and basic tools. For cleaning, organizing, gardening, and maintenance, grandparents often found practical solutions without purchasing dozens of different products. They understood that advertising often makes ordinary tasks seem more complicated than they really are. Sometimes one simple item could replace several expensive products. Another thing grandparents did was share and exchange items with family, friends, and neighbors. Instead of everyone buying something they only used occasionally, people borrowed or shared tools and equipment. A ladder, a special kitchen appliance, gardening tools, or seasonal equipment could be shared between households. This reduced unnecessary spending and strengthened relationships. Today, many people buy items that sit unused for most of the year. Before purchasing something, it can be helpful to ask, "Will I use this often enough to own it?" Sometimes borrowing, renting, or sharing is the smarter financial choice. Grandparents also valued learning practical skills. They repaired clothing, cooked, gardened, preserved food, and maintained their homes. Because these skills saved money, every skill they learned reduced their dependence on expensive services. Knowing how to sew a button, fix a small household problem, grow herbs, or prepare food from basic ingredients gave them independence. Learning these skills today can have the same effect. A person does not need to become an expert at everything. Even learning a few practical skills can create meaningful savings over time. Another forgotten habit was taking care of clothes properly. Grandparents often owned fewer clothes, but they made those clothes last. They washed items carefully, repaired small damages quickly, and stored seasonal clothing properly. Today, replacing clothes has become normal for many people, even when older items could still be worn. Fast fashion encourages frequent buying, but maintaining what you already own is one of the easiest ways to reduce spending. A simple repair can extend the life of a favorite piece of clothing for years. Grandparents also avoided wasting water. They fixed leaks, used water carefully, and did not let resources disappear unnecessarily. A dripping faucet or a leaking pipe may seem like a small issue, but over time it can increase household costs. They knew that preventing waste was easier than paying for it later. Perhaps the biggest lesson from grandparents was their attitude toward money. They understood that saving was not about one huge action. It was about hundreds of small choices repeated consistently. Turning off an unnecessary light, cooking instead of ordering food, repairing instead of replacing, and using what you already have. These small habits created significant savings over time. One of the most valuable habits grandparents had was knowing when to wait. Today, many purchases happen instantly. With online shopping, one click can turn a desire into a package arriving at the door a few days later. But grandparents often practiced patience. If they wanted something, they saved for it. They compared options. They waited until they were sure it was worth buying. This simple habit prevented many unnecessary purchases. Waiting creates an important moment between wanting something and actually spending money. Sometimes, after a few days or weeks, people realize they never truly needed the item in the first place. Grandparents understood that the best way to save money was often not finding the cheapest price, it was avoiding unnecessary spending altogether. Another habit was buying quality when it mattered. They did not believe that the cheapest option was always the smartest option. A poorly made product that needs to be replaced several times can cost more than one reliable item that lasts for many years. Grandparents often looked for durability. They cared about materials, construction, and usefulness. Whether it was kitchen tools, furniture, clothing, or household equipment, they preferred things that could serve them for a long time. This mindset reduced waste and saved money over the years. They also knew the importance of maintaining their home. Small problems were handled before they became expensive repairs. A small crack, a loose part, or a minor leak was fixed early instead of ignored. Many expensive household problems begin as tiny issues that become worse over time. Regular maintenance helped grandparents protect one of their biggest investments, their home. Another smart habit was making use of every space they had. Many grandparents grew herbs near windows, stored food carefully, reused containers, and organized their homes efficiently. They did not need a large house full of expensive storage solutions. They simply used what they already had. Glass jars became storage containers. Boxes were reused. Old materials found new purposes. This creativity saved money and reduced waste. Grandparents also understood the importance of homemade gifts. Instead of always buying expensive presents, they often created meaningful gifts themselves. A homemade cake, a knitted item, a handmade decoration, or a prepared meal could show care without requiring a large expense. The value of a gift was not measured only by its price. Time, effort, and thought often made something even more special. Another money-saving lesson from grandparents was learning basic financial discipline. Many of them kept track of their expenses. They knew where their money was going. Even a simple notebook with income and expenses helped them make better decisions. When people understand their spending habits, they can identify areas where money disappears unnecessarily. Without tracking expenses, it is easy to underestimate small costs. Grandparents often had a clear picture of their finances because they paid attention. They also avoided buying things just to impress others. They understood that financial security was more important than showing off. A person does not need the newest device, the most expensive clothes, or the latest trends to have a good life. Many grandparents focused on comfort, usefulness, and experiences rather than appearances. This mindset protected their money and reduced pressure to constantly spend. Another forgotten practice was preparing for the future. Grandparents often saved small amounts whenever they could. They understood that even a little money saved regularly could become something valuable over time. Saving was not about having a large amount immediately. It was about consistency. A few dollars saved here and there could create a safety cushion for unexpected situations. They also valued using natural resources wisely. During warmer months, they took advantage of sunlight, fresh air, and seasonal foods. During colder months, they prepared ahead and used resources carefully. They adapted to the seasons instead of constantly fighting against them with expensive solutions. Perhaps the greatest lesson we can learn from grandparents is that saving money is a lifestyle, not a temporary challenge. They did not save because they were missing out on life. They saved because they understood the value of what they had. They found satisfaction in being creative, practical, and independent. Many of these habits may seem old-fashioned, but they remain powerful today. Repairing instead of replacing. Cooking instead of always buying prepared food. Growing some of your own ingredients. Planning purchases. Using what you already own. Learning practical skills. Avoiding waste. These simple actions can make a real difference. You do not need to completely change your life overnight. Start with one small habit. Repair one item instead of replacing it. Plan 1 week of meals. Track your spending for a month. Reuse something that you would normally throw away. Small actions repeated consistently create big results. The wisdom of grandparents was not about complicated money tricks. It was about respect for money, resources, food, belongings, and time. And perhaps the most valuable thing they left behind was this idea. Take care of what you have, and what you have will take care of you. Many of the habits that helped previous generations save hundreds of dollars every year are still useful today. In a world where everything seems designed to encourage more spending, these simple lessons remind us that saving money often begins with slowing down, thinking carefully, and making the most of what we already have. Sometimes the smartest financial advice is not new. Sometimes it has been sitting in our homes for generations, waiting to be remembered.